Early morning. This tomato plants are getting giant. Happy 4th of July. Bug in my ear. Oh my gosh. Holy moly. As soon as I started my video, a bug flew in my ear. And these tomato plants, I just trained them back with some string. And they've got some just massive flowers on them. The flowers are about bigger than a quarter around. I never seen tomato flowers so big. Pretty nifty. And my corn's doing okay. Don't get a lot of sunlight here in my garden, but actually getting some corn. I might actually get a few ears of corn this year. I just wanted to give it a shot, see if this new raised bed garden thing, this would give me more space, and it sure did. Absolutely. I'm gonna rethink I took wild strawberries from the yard and I planted them for a few years in the corner of the garden there, and I just let them go, and they got a lot bigger than the ones out in the yard. But the berries are still small. Not as small as the ones in the yard, but nowhere near like a actual strawberry. There's one. They're tiny. Some of them I had in there that were about the size of a nickel. This one here is about the size of a pea. Yummy yum. They're tasty though. Not real sour, not real sweet. About like a wild strawberry. Some of them, depends on the year. Some, like last year, they were all very sweet. I don't know what makes them more sweet. But anyway, I think I'm gonna dig that strawberry patch up and make it up into a mound like the rest of these. And yeah, everything's doing pretty good. Over here, got some people call these weeds. I call them salad. These are dandelion greens that I have planted this side of this mound with all dandelion greens, and that right there is wild lettuce. That's a different plant, and that I use for medicinal. I'm gonna try to make a tincture out of that. And more tomato plants. These tomato plants, I bought some awesome heirloom tomatoes at the store, and we ate them, and when I was done I put the tomato seeds on a paper towel, and I'll be dang if every single one of them didn't sprout. I had probably at least 100 tomato plants, and I've been finding them. They got mixed in with my mulch, and I was putting the mulch down around the plants, and there's all these tomato plants everywhere. I'm still finding them. I found 3 this morning, little baby ones. There's one right now. Little tomato plant popping up out of nowhere. So and then I got a whole bunch over there that I sprouted a whole bunch more tomato plants. So anyway, these were heirloom tomatoes, and they were delicious and bumpy and lumpy and nice, big, fat, and juicy. So no wonder these are so big. The flowers are huge. So hopefully we're gonna get a lot of tomatoes. Maybe I'll try to can some of them, freeze some of them or something. But it'll be neat to see if we get any corn. So there we got our dandelion greens. My sweet pea, I grew that from a sprout that we had in a box of sprouts that we ate, and something killed it. I don't know. But it was just a little fun thing to do with some food from the store. And these collard greens, they're really small, but about 4 or 5 days, I just trim the leaves off of them, and I'm using them for salad greens, for like, baby greens. So that's what my collards are doing this year. Not really growing them to get big giant leaves out of, just eating them as they get big enough to eat. And my asparagus patch still needs some work, still pretty skinny, coming right along. And the lilies, there's the day lilies, they're coming. I have them on the corners just to bring in the hummingbirds. Yesterday we had a hummingbird. And here's the blueberry patch. Got a lot of green berries on there. Another week or so. This blueberry patch has been taking a beating every year. This year the deer got to it, ate the tips off of a lot of these, but got some berries this year. Last year I only had about a dozen. Now we might get a pint or two out of there. That's pretty cool. Pretty happy about that. And then over here, azalea bush is done. Peonies, the beautiful peony, and these beautiful yellow lilies. And I got these other ones that are red. They haven't bloomed yet. It looks like they might be gonna at some point. But then we have all these different stages in the yard of flowering. We had the azalea first, and the chive flowers. They were beautiful purple flowers. And then we'll have the lilies later on. We'll have the day lilies, and then we'll have some out here, some lovely lavender hostas. I planted those like 14 years ago. This one here, this little patch here, spread out into the yard. I mowed over them by accident the other day. They're growing in the yard. Them hostas are pretty hardy. And then our poor red azalea, it's come back, but it only had one flower on it, and it had a bunch of dead branches. I thought it was completely dead. It got thawed out, and then we got a hard freeze, and I think it just was too much for it. It was thinking it was spring, and it started budding, and all the buds got frozen. But it come back. This was a Mother's Day present for my wife, and we've just had bad luck with whatever we grew in this spot. I mean, I dug a gigantic hole. I filled it full of really great soil, put some nice mulch on top, gave it the good all natural organic fertilizer stuff, and I don't know, maybe I over fertilized it or something. But anyway, it's looking good now. I'm just going to come in here and trim back these dead branches, and hopefully we'll have a nice little bush next year. And the fire pit, going to be using that. We're going up to some of my wife's sister's family's house later for fireworks and stuff. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Take off my goofy glasses. What a beautiful morning. Sun's shining. It's only like 7 o'clock. I've been up since 4:30. The sun starts creeping through here in the hollow about 4:30 in the morning. Hey there. Got low hanging fog. That's not rain. Crows are cawing and squawking. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. I love this time of morning. Yesterday morning we had a deer in the backyard. Then he came back again last evening. And we got a rabbity that lives around here. There's where the deer was, out there. And my axe throwing, I stood up that big giant pine log yesterday. That was the hardest thing ever. I rolled it up there and piled up logs and leaned it and rolled it and leaned it. It took me like 20 minutes. Like an Egyptian. I used its weight. Things like 500 pounds. Can't believe I stood it up. But I done did it. Silly me. There's that big pine tree. Oof. I still gotta cut. I can't even move that. It weighs so much. I gotta cut that up in pieces. Get it out of here. Hear the crow? Sounds like he's being murdered. Maybe that's why they call him a murder of crows. Happy 4th.